sometimes the hard part about reading scripture is when you come across these really puzzling passages, whether
Yeah.
it's symbolism, metaphor, some of the prophecies that are mentioned in the Old Testament.
Mm.
Um, what is it referring to? And so sometimes like these are the passages where I'll just skim, like I'm just like wanting to get through it, but then I'm like I'm not even really getting anything out of this
No.
without. Yeah, that's very very hard.
I think that's generally right, actually, that we don't want to spend too much time on the more obscure prophecies, which are talking about fairly remote events and not talking about our own day at all. And I'd say the same about Joshua, the book of Joshua, say, with all the bloody wars and having tent pegs stuck through their heads and this kind of thing. Um, but, we don't read that as edifying literature. And I know
Right.
all scripture is supposed to be good for building us up, but you don't get very built up by reading early parts of Joshua. You do get the sense this is the early people of Israel moving into the promised land and how ambiguous their actions were. Some of them were good and some were bad. And in that sense, the kind of claim that all human life is there in the Old Testament is valid. But you don't get inspiration from reading about how Jael hammered a tent peg through somebody's head. At least I hope you don't.
Yeah, yeah. It can more anger us than bless us because you read
Yes.
these passages, these bloody passages, and sometimes being ascribed to God, God, go and kill all these people, including the babies, and you're like, that should incite anger in us, not peace and joy.
No, that's right. And that kind of anger is a good anger, which we ought to feel sometimes. And the Old Testament, particularly in places, can actually be a useful incitement to that kind of righteous anger, I would say. Um, but I mean, I wouldn't defend it if it consisted entirely of passages like that. There's all the good stuff as well. But when you have got that kind of thing, I think the right reaction is reading, people sometimes say, against the grain. In other words, resistant reading, which says this is there to show us what we shouldn't do rather than what we should do.